Greetings. This is Arvette McLean of Speak, the Universe Listens.
We cherish that. We love that particular piece of it because
teach people like, hey, it's okay, change.
New ways to view age-old challenges. Change your thoughts, change your life. Step into the bigness of you.
Greetings, and welcome to today's episode of Speak, the Universe Listens. Today's topic is debunking popular beliefs. And I have Teron joining me.
Hey.
Rodney.
Hey.
And Steven.
Hey.
Oh my gosh, so it's so many things that we accept as truth in our society. And obviously, there's nothing wrong with these beliefs that we have. A lot of the beliefs that we have is what's gotten us to this point that we are at today. But I think the thing to realize is that it's more than one way to do everything.
Right.
So we have grown up in a society where things are hard and effort and all that, and we're like now shifting. Our whole society is shifting, but particularly people who are watching this podcast, but people like us who are kind of like on the leading edge of bringing in this new energy. Or it's not a new energy, it's been around forever, but it's more people that's becoming aware of it. And as we're becoming more aware of it and we're sharing it, and of course the people who are listening, you guys are also becoming more aware and you're sharing it, and so it's just blossoming across the world. But what are some of the popular beliefs that we have and that we've grown up with, or that you hear floating around that that's true, but it's another way?
Oh man, you got to have money in order to have fun. And I realized that in my life. I'm like, well, at first I thought that was true. And I'm like, I mean, if you want to have fun, you possibly, money can help, but you don't necessarily need it in order to have fun. Because there's other ways you can have fun without having to spend a dime.
Absolutely. We have fun here every time we
Yeah. One of my favorites is, are you working hard or hardly working?
Yeah.
It's always been one of my favorites. Partly because I feel kind of guilty, because anytime somebody's ever said that to me, I was always on the hardly working side, but now I'm like, no, I'm working hard. Like, you don't have to work hard to get what you want. Like, the person who's hardly working, they're working, it's just it's not what you're picturing as work. It's not the hustle and bustle. They might be working in a different manner, so I would much rather be hardly working.
Yeah, so I think that's a big one that we say a lot, is that hard work equals success. And we know of so many people that work really, really hard, and they may have some measures of success, right? But they're not maybe abundant, or maybe they have health issues, or they're not getting to spend enough time with their families. So does hard work equal success?
I don't think so. No, I genuinely don't think so. I think hard work equals eventual progress, and I think that's what people label as success. I think when you're working hard, like, you do something hard enough and long enough, you eventually get some progress. But I think the person who is more at peace and doing it at ease, you might have moved here, but they're moving there with way less effort every time.
I never the people that I know work hard in my life are like extremists with working hard. And I never wanted to live like them. So it's like I never wanted to put my, like, I never wanted to be working around the clock like these people I know that I consider working hard. I never wanted to live like them because I'm like, when do they live?
Yeah, I just don't think. The more I think about it, I don't see how hard work can equal success, because in that manner, you're leaving something behind. So what's the real success? It's success, to me, it can't be success if I have to drop something in order of it. It shouldn't be a give and take. It's just everything with me. So if I'm leaving any part of me behind, what is the real measurement of success?
Another popular saying or whatever that is that you have to sacrifice something to get what you want. And I just don't believe that to be true. We always feel like, well, you know, if I want this, looking around, what I need to remove? Is it these people? Is it this thing? Is it this thing I'm doing? But you can have everything.
Right.
So I don't like that saying.
And basically, with that saying, also like what you said, as far as like removing people, you necessarily wouldn't have to remove nobody, because they're going to remove themselves from your life. Because if you steadily progressing and you go into where you're trying to get to, the people that are not there at your level, they're going to sit back in. They're going to fall away anyway.
Or either they're going to come with you.
Oh, they're going to come with you.
And they're going to align with what you want.
All right.
But I another reason I hate that saying is because it's like I have to trade something for what I want. Like I gotta give you this for me to get this. Like, so I'm giving up something, you know. That's yeah.
Yeah. So that's something that, like, I never felt like relationships should be a compromise. Like, people always say you have to compromise in relationships. And I never felt like that, because I feel like I should have everything I want, and I feel like my husband should have everything he wants, you know. And so people are like, well, how does that work? Like, how, if he wants this and you want the opposite, how does it work? But it's like, however, it's almost like it's such a perspective shift. Like, I'm not thinking I have to compete against you for what I want so that you can, you know what I'm saying? Like, because that's not the thinking. I'm not thinking, oh, we got to compromise. If we're both thinking, okay, how can we both get everything that we want? You know, so it's a whole different dynamic that takes place where everybody's always getting what they want versus I'm going to have to give up something.
Right.
And so it's all like a perspective shift. And so we don't come against those things where it's like, okay, well, he definitely wants to travel to, New York this weekend, and I definitely want to go to Hawaii. Like those things, it just never comes up.
Yeah, I've always liked when you said that too. Like the first time you ever told me that you never felt like there should be a compromise in a relationship, it instantly rung with me too. I was like, yeah, why would that be the case ever?
Right.
Like, we can't be our complete selves if we feel like we're in a competition, because then I'm always looking at you as competition. So how can I even? This isn't even a relationship at this point.
That's true.
Yeah, and if someone's always got to give up something,
right?
Yeah,
that causes problems.
Yeah, and I actually wanted to double back to you too. When you said you got to sacrifice something to give up, like to get it. I always thought that could never be true too, because whatever, like if I'm sacrificing something, whatever it is also a part of me. So now, whatever I'm getting, the accomplishment isn't fully me. I'd never fully received that accomplishment because I had to give up this to get it. So I've always could never process that one either. It's like it's always like if I have to give up my car in order to get a house,
right?
Like, I'm still not living the life I want.
Yeah.
And I think one of the ones that we hear a lot, people always say, I'm not materialistic. I don't have to have material things. I don't need to be rich or, that type of thing. And because I was famous for that. And especially when people enter like the spiritual realm, it's almost like, I can give up these materialistic things or whatever. But from my perspective, like if we are connected to the source of all that is, right? We came from spirit into human form. So we came into the physical form because we're here to experience physical things. Right. Like if I wanted to just be all spirit, then what was the purpose of coming into the physical world? So, and I say that to say, it's almost like people feel like if they want physical things, then they're being materialistic and therefore they're not spiritual. But that's what we came for. to experience manifestation. Yeah.
Right. I could say something that I sort of debunked was that I remember growing up, you know, I was just taught that I had to go to church in order to be a decent, good human being. And, you know, when I got older, I debunked that myth, and I'm like, hey, you know, look, I can still be a good human being without being in a society or in a world as to where I'm taking on a belief system that is, you know, that's not for me. And it's not to say that, hey, you know, what a person believes in is a bad thing. Whatever floats your boat, and if it works for you, go for it. But I don't think for somebody to sit back and say, well, hey, if you don't believe what I believe, you're a bad person.
Right.
Why, you know?
How y'all feel about this saying, save something for a rainy day?
Oh man, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Why am I looking forward to
a rainy day?
Exactly.
Like now I'm putting that. Now I'm saying it's gonna be a rainy day.
Right, right.
You know, yeah, I just don't like that.
Yeah.
Save for a rainy day.
And that's one of the ones that I feel like I'm with you on that, but I feel irresponsible if I say that out loud. You know. but I'm totally with you on that because I'm conceptualizing my life like it's gonna be beautiful every day. So if things are lacking or whatever, that's because my mentality is lacking, because my consciousness is lacking, because I'm out of alignment, and because I now know how to get into alignment, I can always do that. Right. So I don't have to be worried about, okay, what if, you know, the market crashes, or, you know, what if there's a pandemic, or what if there's war, right, or, you know, what if, and you just gave me a memory. So
just take it back.
So as a child, I always had this pillowcase, and in the pillowcase I had all my worldly possessions. All of my worldly possessions, and I kept it next to me, like when I would go to sleep.
Oh, bad.
Because just in case anything happened, I would have that bag of all my worldly possessions. But really, that's how we live our lives. You know, like we feel like we got to have a certain amount of money in the bank, and, you know, we got to have that 401k, and we got to get these things in place, which I totally get it. I understand, which I said, I rarely would say this out loud because I would feel irresponsible to say, you know, you don't need that.
Yeah,
and
right.
Then somebody else does not know how to bring themselves into alignment. Like if you don't know how to create abundance in your life. And so, but that's the whole point of everything we're talking about, is to continue to be in the vibration of alignment, to be in the vibration of abundance, to be in the vibration of creation. And when you know how to be in this space, and it's not to say you'll never fall out, but when you know how to be in this space, anything can happen and you will still be okay, because you can bring yourself right into alignment. There's no such thing as lack. There's no such thing as it's not enough. That's a creation of our imagination. And so we can create lack, we can create abundance.
Abundance, right.
When I think about debunking, you know, popular beliefs, I look at like the generations too. Like talking to my grandma, it's like job. You gotta have a job. I don't care what you're doing.
Yeah.
You gotta keep a job.
Right.
It's never, what do you want to do?
Right.
Or what, what's your dream? Or it's just job. So I think, but that's how we live on a day to day. A lot of us is, all right, I got in this job. Now let's see if I can get a promotion, or now I got to get a better job.
Right.
Or it's not what do I want to do and what do I enjoy doing. It's always, I just gotta have a job.
I would say with that though, you made me think. I think a lot of people believe that when they tell themselves they can't do something because they never done it before, right? Or they never know nobody to do it, and they feel like that they can't do it. So it's an automatic no. So I'm like, I learned that even if I never done it before, if I at least tried it, you know what I'm saying? If I at least tried it, that's just gonna open up the doors to actually level myself up to wherever it is I'm trying to go to. So I seen that a lot as to where family members, they would sit there and say, well, how you gonna do that? Well, how? And every time I get the how, at that moment, it was like, Dad, you right, how I'm gonna do, how I'm gonna do that? And then I don't do it. So I just realized, like, you know what, if I haven't done it, do it. And then when you experience it, then it's like, okay, now I know what I'm capable of doing.
One of the newer popular beliefs that I hear all the time is you gotta match people's energy.
Nah, that's a no-no.
And when they saying it, they're saying like if somebody's treating you bad, then you match with they. Like it's like, huh?
Yeah, I heard that.
Like if somebody's like angry and acting crazy, like why am I matching what they're doing? Like so now we all just
everybody crazy.
We all just in a sinkhole of negativity and like.
Right.
So it's like vibrate high and have your energy high, and people gonna match that.
I learned about that myself. Just basically not giving my power away to somebody else. Even if they did something to intentionally try to get me out of my box, if I bring myself to that vibration of where they're at, then I just gave them I just gave them my power. So just being in a state of mind as to where it's like, you know what, stay on that high vibration because that's where I want to be. I don't want to be there. I don't care what they did, but I don't want to be in that vibration. So I think that's a big step to sort of get yourself into stay there.
And what you don't realize is people control you when you do that. They really control how you feel.
Right?
So if you do something to me and now I'm upset for the rest of the day. And I'm just gonna go like that and tell you know what I mean? Like people control you like that.
One saying that I had actually recently heard was I don't want to be rich because all people with money did something wrong to get it, or all people with money are evil. And I'm like,
come on,
I just can't think that way because then what's the goals? Like, okay, if you don't want the money, but then you're saying your happiness is going to come from doing this, and in your mind you need money to do this, but you never want to get the money because you're scared you're going to be evil. I just can't think that way because I can't process that. In order to get to where I want to go, I got to be nasty and evil to get it. Like it
don't make sense.
So they just want to trust it now.
I did also want to circle back to you on the generation thing real quick because what you were saying about grandma and the job. I actually came to y'all a couple months ago and I realized I had no idea what any of my friends did for a living. Like I know what they're passionate about. I can tell you what they want to do and what their goals are. But if you ask me where they work, I couldn't tell you. I'm like, oh, they work in some building somewhere. But it was just for me like the job was never them. And I know that the job is just a part of the process. The job is a part of it. And I know that this isn't what you want to do. It's like part of what you're doing. So I'm not going to look at it and identify you as that.
Well, that's a thing too, and I don't know if it's in y'all's generation or not, but and it's probably not so much as like maybe in my generation and ones before, but that people did identify as their job.
Yeah.
Because people would get into a job and they would just stay in that job like forever, and so that was like really their identity. Whereas I think now it's a lot more leeway with that.
I'm trying to think of another one.
So, well, you kind of hit on something that I've seen a lot is about people saying protecting your energy and, energy vampires and putting getting negative people out of your, way. Like I hear that a lot or whatever, and you kind of already hit on that. Like it's all about your own energy and keeping your own energy high, and realizing too that like the higher your energy is, the less of anything you're going to attract that doesn't match it. And even it's not like certain people may still be in your path, right? But for one thing, when they're around you, they're not going to do that thing that causes most people to go off. But also, even when they do, it doesn't affect you the same way that it would have affected you. Yeah.
And I remember it was one that I used to believe until I actually had to think about it. And I'm like, that ain't true. But how people would say you need to fail in order to succeed. And I really thought about it for myself because I really did believe that. And I'm like, hold up, wait a minute. I never fail. I always learn. That's all it was. And so I think that when people realize that when you thinking that you fail, you're not failing because in that moment you're learning something. And so whatever it is that you learn, and all it's going to do is just make you better. So then you can apply what you learned for the next go round and then just keep on leveling yourself up. So it took me a while to really think about it because I used to just tell people that all the time. If you fail, it's just you're never gonna succeed if you don't fail. And then I just thought about it. You made me think about it too. I think you made me think about it because you was like, I never fail. I was like, what? I said, what you mean you never fail? So I think that's something that I had to debunk that myth.
Oh, another one I really like. The more I think about it, the more I'm like, none of it makes sense. If it's meant to be, it'll be.
That's a good one.
Like, by no means can you make that make sense to me because I'm not going to wait on certain things and just thinking, if it's meant to be, it will be.
So that means, like, you can't create nothing.
Right. Like, you're stripping all your power right there.
Yeah. Like, I'm just,
Hey, I'm going to wait.
It's like, so that, I don't like that one. It's because it's like I can't create the things I want in my life because if it is, it's like, what?
Yeah.
I gotta go get some of this.
Yeah, I also don't like the one that they say it is what it is.
It ain't it.
I'm quick to say it ain't what it is. Exactly. I think a lot of these though, we've been instilled with them like so early, and like it just become like a regular day, like a regular thinking of your life, like, and like you said, we almost think of it as fact. Like these things are facts to us, but they really not.
Exactly.
And I think that eventually, when people start to know that it's not facts, they'll start to deprogram those old thoughts of what they thought was the truth. And it's like, hey, you can create a new reality for yourself.
I think your eyes get wide open when you like put some of those paradigms, those early beliefs that you had, like when you put some of those away, I think it opens you up to start seeing new things and seeing things a totally different way. Like, wow, I could have went this path instead of
right.
Like, what?
I think I actually want to close on that because that was actually quite beautiful. So I hope you guys got something out of this, and if you can think of some of your own things that you can debunk, and it's not to say that these things are never true, because they have been true for most of us in our lives, but it's not the only way. There's a whole nother way of looking at the world, a whole nother way of being in the world, and when you open yourself up to just different ways of seeing the world and being in the world, life just becomes so magical and beautiful, free and abundant, and it just changes everything. So the more you can think about anytime people are putting limits on you, or you putting limits on yourself, like, does it have to be that way? Is it a different way that you can think about it? So thank you for joining us. Look forward to seeing you again next week. Until then, this is Arvette.
This is Steve.
Rodney.
And Teron.
Bye, y'all.